different independent industries and the players in those industries, and ultimately we just want to depict how user and consumer experience data can impact work in such industries. So I'm Jennifer Nodler, and in a few moments I'll introduce the rest of our research team. But before I get started, I wanted to comment on the cross-section of professionals that we have in attendance today. So just before getting started, I took a look at our attendee list, and I discovered that we had 14 different insurance companies present with roles in leadership, marketing, consumer experience management, and beyond. We had creative design agencies, web and application development groups, and representatives from a number of large corporations in retail, e-commerce, entertainment, gaming, and healthcare. So welcome, everyone. I'm pleased to have such a broad audience in attendance today. Okay, so a little bit of background about Keyline Interactive. As I mentioned, I'm Jennifer, and I'm pleased to introduce a really well-rounded team of research professionals here at Keyline. We've got over 12 years of experience consulting in consumer and user research. We cater to a group of top global clients, and we offer quite a broad range of specialties. We often do some consultation work. We work alongside solid established in-house user research and consumer marketing teams, and we go all the way to managing entire strategic development plans for large corporations. So we kind of get our hands in a little bit everywhere. Ultimately, our goal is to deliver a fresh perspective that combines expert experience and consumer data sets to inform design. In the end, we're psyched about saving our customers some money and helping them increase customer loyalty and retention. So I just want to clarify a little bit about today's series installment. We're going to take a look at the auto insurance industry from a very high-level view. So this study will just kind of report the findings that we had to get your feet wet and give you some idea of what we discovered. If you want to dive in deeper and get the full report and learn a little bit more about the specific heuristics that we employed, we're happy to sell that after the presentation, so you can contact me and I can help you get your hands on that. Okay, so with that, I'd like to introduce our research team. Today, we will hear from Eugene Santiago and Rebecca Lergier. These two manage our quantitative and qualitative research endeavors here at Keyline, and they excel at analyzing data sets to deliver actionable results to our clients. They combine their experience and all of the different data that they get from a variety of different methodologies and ultimately arrive at some examples and recommendations for our clients. So with that, I'd like to pass it over to Eugene, and he can go through the findings from our auto insurance study.
Great. Thanks, Jen, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks again for joining us today as we reveal the results of our auto insurance mobile competitive review. Today, we're going to review the methodology that we use to gather data to assess the capabilities of each mobile property and how their assessment resulted in the final rankings. And but before we get into the findings, I'll briefly share some data points on what the marketplace looks like in terms of smartphone market share and usage of apps across operating systems. And then we'll get directly into the results of our review. We'll take a look at the overall rankings, review what companies are doing well as the opportunities that exist for improving and differentiating themselves with the features they make available to users. And then finally, we'll conclude by taking some questions. We conducted this competitive review of the top 4 U.S. auto insurance companies, inclusive of State Farm, Allstate, Geico, and Progressive, by comparing their mobile properties, including mobile site and mobile apps, against one another to see how they stack up. Each mobile property was compared against a list of auto insurance tasks to assess their capabilities and features. The capabilities and features that we scored were gathered by reviewing each current mobile property and each of their respective websites to determine what the appropriate list of capabilities would be based on what users would expect to complete on a mobile device. One thing to note here is that multiple mobile apps exist for each company. However, we focused only on comparing the primary auto insurance mobile apps, Allstate Mobile, Geico Glove Box, Progressive's main mobile app, and the State Farm Pocket Agent. A full list of the mobile apps that exist for the 4 companies can be found in the appendix of this report. After evaluating the capabilities of these 4 apps, in addition to the mobile websites, we then comparatively ranked them against each other to determine who was providing the best experience to its customers. In addition to assessing the capabilities and ranking them, we incorporated user feedback to understand the importance and preference of each feature. And then finally, we took a look at the current ratings and included them into our scoring to account for the real-world perception of these apps. And the current ratings I'm referring to are the ones that you would find in the Android market or the iStore. All of these elements ultimately were combined to determine the overall score and ranking of the mobile properties. Here's a visual look at the 4 properties, the mobile properties that were tested. It was 4 mobile sites as well as 4 mobile apps. We tested the mobile apps on both the Android and the iOS operating system, and separate scoring exists for each of those as there were some differences with respect to the features that were available. But before we get into the actual data, again, I want to share some context regarding the current mobile landscape. So with respect to smartphone market share, as of March 2011, we see that the Android operating system holds the largest piece of the pie at around 34%, followed by RIM, who's in a steady decline, and the Apple operating system rounds the top 3 at about 27% share. Projections show that Android-powered phones may soon be responsible for at least 50% of the market share within the next few years. In addition to looking at market share, we take a deeper look into the downloading and usage of mobile apps. As we can see here, users on the Apple and Android operating systems are leading the way in both the average number of downloaded apps as well as the frequency of app usage, where greater than 60% of smartphone users with either an iPhone or Android-powered device indicate that they use their apps multiple times a day. Now we're going to take a quick look at a short summary of each of the mobile apps. These do not show the complete list of features, but only highlight the main tasks that users can complete on each. The first one here is the State Farm Pocket Agent, which is available on both the Android and Apple operating systems. Current customers are able to complete a number of tasks, including paying a bill, submitting a claim, viewing their policy information, among others, while both customers and non-customers are able to do such things as document accident details, locate an agent, a repair facility, as well as other amenities, including rental car, gas station, hotel, that sort of thing, using either the GPS technology on the device or by inputting an address. Overall, the State Farm Pocket Agent is a good mobile app with best-in-class features, including the viewable policy information available, as well as the document and accident feature. However, their inability for users to obtain an auto quote keeps it from being the top mobile app performer. The Allstate Mobile App is not only available on Android and the Apple operating system, but also on BlackBerry. It's also the only auto insurance mobile app that we tested that is available in languages other than English. It's available in Spanish, French, and German. And again, there are tasks that both customers and non-customers can complete on the Allstate mobile app. Overall, the app is a good app, again, with best-in-class features for obtaining an auto quote and finding an agent. However, their app does not include the ability to contact roadside assistance or locate services on the go, keeping it from being the overall best-in-class mobile app. One thing that I do want to add here, though, is that Allstate does have an app specifically for roadside assistance called Good Hands Roadside Assistance, which is available for both customers and non-customers. The Geico Glove Box mobile app is available on the largest number of operating systems. As we can see here, Android, BlackBerry, the iOS, as well as the Windows operating system. And in addition to being able to make a payment, obtain an auto quote, etc., they also integrate some fun features, such as their caveman photo crasher and access to different commercials. Overall, the Geico Glove Box app is a capability-rich app with best-in-class features for bill pay and contacting roadside assistance, as well as the only app with social media integration, albeit the social media integration is only available on Android. And the last mobile app that we reviewed was Progressive's mobile app, which again is also available on both Android and iOS. Customers here are also able to pay a bill, submit a claim, and view their current policy details, but some features that are unique to them include the ability to compare vehicle safety information, including crash test ratings, as well as an option to compare vehicles to see which is least expensive to insure. Overall, we'll see that its long list of capabilities and overall consistency across all of the scoring metrics make it the top-ranked iPhone app. So I mentioned previously that we gathered feedback from users to understand what features were must-haves, nice-to-haves, etc. And from those results, we were able to understand what users felt was most important to them. We placed the features into tiers to highlight the importance, and these tiers also played a part into the weighting we gave each feature when it came to tabulating a final score for each mobile property. Of greatest importance to users were the ability to enter accident details, ability to view policy information on the mobile device, ability to submit a payment for their policy, and the ability to receive an auto quote. Separately, we asked users their preference regarding what information they had to supply in order to receive a quote, and 69% of the users indicated they would prefer to get a ballpark quote without the need to submit information such as Social Security number versus receiving an exact quote that required information such as Social Security when shopping for an auto quote. Other features that users rated highly were the ability to see payment history, being able to view what discounts were available to them, as well as the need to edit personal and policy information. And then finally, we asked about the importance of social media links, and only about 16% of the users said that links to social media were a must-have within their auto insurance mobile app. So now I've talked a little bit about how we conducted the review, as well as some brief summaries of the capabilities of each, and also highlighting on some of the list of features that users themselves said were important. And now we'll reveal the overall rankings. So as we can see here, this is a snapshot of the final rankings for our competitive review. The first thing that I want to state here is that the aggregate scores for each auto insurance company were close, but at the conclusion of the review, State Farm ranked the highest overall. Driving its top ranking was its best-in-class mobile site. The mobile site outperformed the competition, missing out on a perfect capability score by only 2 points. The State Farm mobile app did not rank as high, however, due to the fact that users cannot obtain an auto quote on the mobile apps. But despite its lower mobile ranking, the State Farm Pocket Agent did still record 2 best-in-class features, including accident details and the viewing your policy. And then just to give you guys some background in terms of how, what the numbers actually mean, as well as the rankings. The overall column that you see on the left is an aggregate score that combines the overall rankings of the mobile site, the Android app score, and the iPhone app score. So each mobile property score is a combination of 2 things, the capability score as well as an actual ranking score. And in a moment, we'll get into the details of the rankings for each of the mobile properties and how those fell out. Okay, so based on what we just saw, one thing that we can see is that we have a very close race here, and the front runners only differ by a mere 1%. So naturally, this has us all scratching our heads to assign, a value to what does this all mean? What does this represent? And what it may mean when we speak of costs and opportunities, for each player. So this is going to, hinge greatly on the features. And what we're going to do here quickly is just take a look at a couple of differentiators and hypothesize what the lack of a given feature or the presence of such feature by a competitor may result in. So, for example, let's say your current customers can't enter all the critical accident details and ultimately submit that information to their policyholder over the mobile device. This could cause them to feel upset and not supported in one of their most critical times of need. In addition, let's say, the inability to send this information to your insurance provider directly can result in higher company costs to staff more agents or, to manage more phone claims, as well as it doesn't really allow the mobile property to realize its optimal return on investment. Or, perhaps customers, both prospective and current, are looking to see what options exist to them to save some money on their auto insurance, and as they begin to shop, they realize that they have to sit in front of a PC to get the information because they can't do it on their mobile device, or they feel like they're required to submit too much information, information that they're not comfortable giving, or are inundated with a process that takes too long. All of these are potential shortcomings that allow your competitors an opportunity to compete for people that may have you, top of mind. So these are just a few examples of some of the differentiators that can have a larger bearing on the overall impact that your mobile properties are making. The good news is that by identifying what your current capabilities are and implementing and fine-tuning those where you fall short could have a positive impact by decreasing the likelihood of these potential losses. So now what we'd like to do is take a deeper look into some of the capability scores and rankings. And along the way, we'll highlight some of the companies that did really well in employing the different features. So this capability scorecard is using a binary system where if the capability existed, they received a check, and if it didn't exist, they didn't receive a check. After identifying which of the capabilities existed, we then used our weighted scoring system. Again, that was based on the importance of each feature to compute the final capability score. And then as an example, from this slide here, or as an example from the previous slide with the tiers, a higher weight was given to something like, are you able to get an auto quote versus does social media exist? That was based on actual user feedback. But we employed this method as a way to better determine who's meeting the needs of the customers better, as the difference in what one can do on each of the mobile properties varies, only slightly. With respect to the mobile site capability scorecard, we see that State Farm was the top performer, followed by Allstate, who also does well, but falls short because users cannot get an auto quote using the mobile site. Okay, so after assessing the capabilities, we then ranked each property. 4 stars represents the top performer, and 1 star represents the lowest performer for a given feature. And this isn't to say that a company that ranked 1 is doing a poor job overall, but simply that its competitors are doing a better job. So whether that be allowing users to complete a task in fewer clicks, or asking for less information when providing an auto quote, or in some cases offering more information for users to view. So again, it's more so of a comparative ranking. The full report, however, does get into the details of why one company performed better than the other with respect to an individual feature. Again, when it comes to the overall feature ranking score, each feature was weighted based on its importance, and then those scores are computed to come up with the final ranking score. So here we see that State Farm also received the highest feature ranking score for the mobile site. Their fast estimate feature and overall consistency has their mobile site ranked the highest among the 4. A glimpse into one feature will show how we rank the properties. So while both State Farm and Progressive both provide users with multiple estimates once they complete the get a quote process, State Farm did a better job with their presentation of the options and the coverage available with each estimate. The ease in which the users could compare the options provided to them had a larger bearing on the overall utility of the feature. And again, that's why even though the capability for the 2 are the same, that's what differentiated them when it came to the ranking. So now what we're going to do before we move on to the mobile apps is take a deeper look at a few of the best-in-class features for the mobile sites. So as mentioned previously, State Farm had the best get a quote feature on the mobile site when compared to the other 3 companies. Users are able to complete the process in about 10 steps without the need to divulge personal information except for their address. Users are pretty seamlessly taken through each step. They're asked for zip code, address, age, gender, marital status, whether or not they have any recent traffic tickets, the standard vehicle information, so make, model, and year. And then they're presented with a summary of all the information that they're entered prior to seeing the three estimates, being presented with the three estimates. So again, overall, their presentation and utility for getting the estimate over the mobile site was the best of the three. One area where State Farm could still look to improve is at the very beginning of the process. Although the link to begin the process does exist on the mobile homepage, it's actually surrounded by a lot more text than a lot of the other buttons are. So at first glance, it's a little bit more difficult to notice right away versus, say, the link to call for a rate quote or claim center. The second best-in-class feature that we're going to look at here is for viewing policy details on the mobile site, and that goes to Progressive. So after logging in, policyholders are able to view an electronic ID card, including all the critical information, policy ID, effective dates, address, the vehicles on the policy, that sort of thing, as well as they can access the coverage that they currently have for all their vehicles via the mobile site. No other mobile site actually shows the users what their current coverage is under their given policy. In addition, users are also able to see the back of their ID card containing some helpful information about what to do if you're in an accident, as well as a direct number to call to report a claim. And the third best-in-class feature for mobile sites that we're going to cover today is filing a claim. And when it comes to filing a claim on the mobile site, we see that Allstate has received the top ranking. And in 3 simple steps, users are able to enter and fill out a form of general information about the claim, confirm the information, and submit it directly from their mobile device. So the speed with which someone could enter the information and literally just one page of information and then submit it helps with the utility and overall convenience as it relates to filing a claim. Okay, so we've taken a quick look at the mobile site scores and some of the best performers, and now what we're going to do is take a look at the mobile app scores. Again, scores for Android and iPhone apps were recorded separately because there were differences in capabilities across the operating systems. What we see here is that the Geico Glovebox Android app ranked the highest with its long list of capabilities, including links to social media. And Geico also received highest marks for its best-in-class pay your bill feature, which we'll show in more detail in a moment here. When we take a look at the feature rankings for the Android app, what we do see, however, is that Allstate was the highest scorer with its best-in-class auto quote feature, as well as the top ranking with current Android users. And if we take a closer look and we compare Allstate head-to-head with Geico, we see that Allstate outperforms Geico in important categories such as obtaining an auto quote, providing multiple estimates, and locating, contacting an agent. And those are some of the things that led to it resulting in an overall higher score than Geico. With respect to the iPhone apps, we see here that both Geico and Progressive perform very well in their capabilities assessment, tying for the highest score. We also see here that State Farm is actually missing out on the opportunity to give users an auto quote, and that results in their comparatively lower ranking relative to the other 3 companies. When we look at the feature rankings available for the iPhone app, Progressive slightly edges out Geico with the highest feature ranking score, ranking higher than Geico in 6 out of 11 categories when you're comparing them head-to-head. The biggest difference overall between the two is the Progressive app gives users multiple quotes after they go through the quote process, while the Geico app only returns one quote estimate to users. And some of the best-in-class features that we highlighted specifically for the mobile app, we'll start here with the Get a Quote feature. Allstate Mobile's Get a Quote feature allows users to obtain a quote directly within the mobile app. Some of the other competitors allow for quotes, but by redirecting users to the mobile site. Within 10 steps or so, users can obtain a quote without divulging any personal information. They don't have to give social, the name, address, email address, date of birth. It's completely anonymous. The app also does a wonderful job of showing the users the data that they've inputted, followed by 3 estimates to choose from. So they go through the various steps, providing information, none which is personal in nature, and then they get to a confirmation screen, and then they have the 3 different types of results to choose from: economy, featured, and enhanced. And as we can see here in the last image on the right, that the options to save the quote as well as to call an Allstate agent to get a more accurate and personalized quote exist. When it comes to comparing who presented the quote estimates the best, Progressive gets the nod over Allstate here. They not only show users 3 estimates the same way Allstate does, but they also allow them to name their price. But moreover, what we can see here from these 2 screens is that the layout that Progressive provides to the users to compare and view the details of each option are what really push them ahead of Allstate. The third best-in-class feature are the accident details feature of State Farm Pocket Agent that rated the highest. This particular feature gives users access to a pretty lengthy and robust tool that allows them to make note of almost every detail that you could think of that pertains to an auto accident. So as we can see, users are able to enter the date, the location, what type of accident they had from a drop-down list, as well as capture up to 4 photos. The image that's second to the right, we see here that they're able to visually indicate the damage that they sustained. They're even able to draw the accident scene and choose different vehicle types, the direction that they were going. They could even add whether there were stop signs, if there were witnesses, that sort of thing. And they even have the ability for users to speak the details of the accident using the microphone of the mobile device. So not only are users able to input all of this critical information, but they can add their personal policy information directly to the list, and then they're able to actually submit the claim directly from their mobile device when they're ready. Geico's Glove Box Pay Your Bill was rated best in class for its straightforwardness and the options that it provides its customers with respect to choosing between various payment methods, as well as choosing to pay not only the amount due, but the option to pay the remaining balance as well. So those 2 elements in particular really, again, lead to the convenience of the process. And again, in just less than a handful of steps, a user is able to access the app, log in, and pay their bill. And the last best-in-class feature that we're going to highlight today goes to State Farm in the way that they visually present the policy details to their customers. So their easy access to the information, which is available within 2 clicks, in addition to the amount of information, policy information that's available, are what really drives the State Farm viewing policy details feature to the top of the list. As we can see here, users are able to see the premium cost, the list of insured, the effective date, the policy number, the vehicle information, the VIN number, agent information, agent contact information, as well as coverage details. And actually no other app provides policyholders the ability to view the actual coverage that they have with their policy. Okay, so again, based on the user feedback that we identified a tier list of features that users expect to have when accessing their auto insurance provider via, mobile device. So we spoke and we see, we covered a lot of the things in Tier 1 are available on all of the mobile apps, but there are elements or features on this list that are not currently available to users through this medium. So, by virtue of that, we see that there's some opportunities that exist to further meet the expectations of users who slowly but surely are moving away from using PCs to access the web and towards, using their mobile device as their primary means for browsing the web. So providing these features will allow you to further enhance and differentiate yourself from your competition. So in order here, we have the set of features that are currently not being met that users indicated that they would expect them to be available on through a mobile app. So these screenshots here are of current websites and the way that the information is presented and the type of information that's presented. So we've got the viewing your discount information on the policy, ability to edit your home address, which is not currently available on any mobile app, although Progressive does have that capability through their mobile site. Users indicated the desire to see historical payment information, as well as making some changes to their personal information or their policy, including adding or removing a vehicle, editing a payment plan, editing their coverage, or adding and removing a driver. So this is just a short list of the types of features and capabilities that currently exist on the web, but do not currently exist on the mobile app. So with respect to where you go to next, keeping these things in mind and understanding what the user's expectations are relative to the task they complete is crucial. And that's it with respect to the overview of the information. Jen, are there any questions?
Yeah, Eugene, thank you. I believe we do have a couple here. Everyone, if you're not familiar with the interface, you can enter questions over to the right. You just type those in and they'll show up on our screen and we can address them in turn. So the first question we have looks like this comes from a design agency. The question is related to the Android and the iPhone. They said they noted that Progressive app was significantly different from on the Android and iPhone, and they noted that it affected the overall score. So they wanted to understand. I'm sorry, I just lost that real quick. They wanted to understand how to overcome a problem like this, and they wanted to determine if there's an option that can allow the same app to be developed for all operating systems.
Hi, Jen. This is Rebecca, and I will be taking that question. Absolutely.
Okay.
To overcome that problem, what we look at gathering and achieving a unified user experience, and we work with developers that use a platform that can build once and deploy across. So we look at the overall mobile strategy for our client. We develop that strategy, and then we look to what they want to accomplish and what they want to include in their application, and we make sure that it's the same experience across the board. And not only that, but we also make sure that when comparing to their mobile site and their desktop website, that they still achieve a unified user experience that is of high quality and that it meets the expectations of their customers.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I'm going to keep going through the list of questions here. There's a couple others. The next one is, how many surveys were done? I believe this is probably related to the actual survey that was conducted early on.
Yes, I wanted to go back to the methodology. We included experts reviews. We included heuristic evaluations, and we included also what user ratings are out there. But in addition, we conducted a user survey. We did one survey. It was between 15 and 20 questions. It went out to 100 of our panelists. And the criteria to be part of the survey was to have a car insured and to also own a smartphone. And we had a mix of users that were insured with the top 4 and a few of the other agencies. And they all had either an Android, a BlackBerry, or an iPhone.
Okay. Great. Okay, so it looks like there's a question that's a little bit specific to a particular, it looks to me that there's a question that's particular to a feature. So it's asking if there's any of the applications that support reporting an accident claim when the network is not available. So will it store the information on the phone and then upload the information when the network later becomes available? Did any of the 4 companies that we took a look at have that feature?
So there definitely are, the options do exist to save claim information. During our reviews, we didn't encounter any issues where the system was down. So to definitively say that it would automatically upload it, I do not know with certainty, but the options do exist to save the information on all of the apps as you're inputting it.
Okay, great. That's a smart idea, actually. Okay, next question is, someone asked about getting the presentation materials. I can address that one myself. Yes, I'll send that out to the list of registrants and attendees post webinar here. Another question just came in. So does the operating system play into scoring among users when presented in the app format? And if so, what is the best user experience on which operating system?
So through our review, there are some differences within some of the features, but there wasn't a very large deviation from the actual usability of the Android app versus the mobile app. The differences that existed there were either the lack of features on one versus the other. So there wasn't anything that was glaring that we had to take into account regarding the overall operating system. As it refers to the scoring, the mobile site scores, Android app scores, and iPhone app scores were weighted the same, respective to each other with, in terms of how we calculated the overall score.
Okay. Great. Okay, so it looks to me like the rest of the questions are related to getting materials and taking a deeper look and having some conversations offline. So I'm happy to follow up with those on an individual basis. Does anyone else want to ask any more? I can give it a minute or 2 more and see if anyone has anything to add here. But, so, okay, and someone was hoping to get the name of the speaker. So my name is Jennifer Nodler, and the researcher that was presenting the findings was Eugene Santiago. And if you'd like to contact any of us directly, our email is our first name at keylimeinteractive.com. Okay. So with that, I guess we'll close. And again, I want to thank everyone for attending today. I will do my best to distribute the materials and answer these specific questions. And if any other concepts or ideas for future installations of this syndicated study series that we conduct come to mind, we'd be happy to entertain those, so please send those our way. Okay, thanks Eugene and Rebecca.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.